without further ado, I would like to welcome Greta Whipple to the Ontario Assembly of Workplace Democracy. She is a customer service employee at Indigo Books and a member of the United Food and Commercial Workers, one of Canada's largest private sector unions, representing more than 250,000 Canadian workers. And she is also an organizer of a unionizing effort at the Indigo Bookstore at Yorkdale Shopping Mall. Greta, good morning. It is a pleasure to have you, and thank you for coming to speak to our assembly.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's great to be here. I'm a younger person, obviously, and it's nice that the assembly is consulting the voice of somebody in a demographic that doesn't usually have a place in governing bodies. So I'm pleased to be here for sure. I'm hoping that what I have to offer today is going to provide some further insight into the industry shifts that we're seeing and the challenges that have birthed them. To be blunt, it isn't an easy time to be part of a younger generation. We're emerging into a far more globalized job market than many of our parents had to contend with when they were our age, because employment is a lot more precarious in that regard. On top of that, university degrees, they don't have the same competitive edge that they once did, and they often come with far higher levels of student debt than what our parents had to incur. If you factor in the exorbitant cost of living that we're seeing, it paints a pretty clear picture of a multitude of problems, I believe. But at their core, the issues that are facing young people today and yesterday aren't that dissimilar. When you first emerge into the workplace, it comes with a degree of inexperience. And more often than not, that inexperience is taken advantage of, and it translates into young people feeling like they don't have a voice. I started an on-again, off-again job at Indigo Books and Music's Yorkdale location in 2016. And after graduating university in 2018, I began a more permanent part-time career there as it worked well with my acting work. But being employed with the company for that length of time, it gave me a unique insight into the decline of the quality of mine and my colleagues' employment there. The issues we were facing, they weren't that dissimilar to those faced by other retail workers. It was stagnant wages, negligible benefits, few opportunities for growth within the company, and very real health and safety concerns. And as terrible as the pandemic has been, it did give us a pause. It was the opportunity to evaluate a system that we'd all felt was unjust and say, how do we fix this? It's no small thing to unionize a workplace, but luckily for me, some of the groundwork was laid out by Indigo's Square One location in Mississauga, which unionized in September of 2020. In March of 2021, the Indigo in Woodbridge followed suit, and I signed the first union membership card for Yorkdale in July of that year. Our vote was certified less than a month later, and a week after that, another location in Scarborough certified their own vote. What was important to us, it was the potential for wage increases and health benefits getting enshrined in a contract for sure, but respect for our health and safety, protection from unfair and arbitrary managerial treatment, and critically, a say in the terms of our employment were key. Fairness was key, and that's the main takeaway here. I hope the perception of fairness in the workplace, because in your interpersonal relationships with partners, friends, family members, you hopefully don't settle for having zero say. In being dictated the terms of your relationship, in hoping for benevolence with no recourse should you not like the terms other than leaving entirely. No, in every other relationship in our lives, we strive for partnership. Our relationships with our employers are just that, relationships, and they shouldn't be any different. The only consolation that's often offered in the face of poor retail working conditions is, it's only temporary. But what do I have to say to that? So what if it's temporary? Even if it is, why would transients preclude the right to fair treatment? The surging interest in unionization that we're seeing right now is symptomatic of a system that isn't working for regular people. In a perfect world, it isn't the only way, but right now in Ontario, it basically is. And I cannot emphasize enough how important it was for us to have the Square One Woodbridge contract available to us, nor can the ongoing support of those teams during our own drive be minimized. But even so, that wasn't a replacement for a cohesive framework within which we could follow those other stores' footsteps. The experience of others is not a replacement for the implementation of more equitable legal pathways, because while we made the available avenues of recourse work for us, the success we enjoyed is more of an anomaly than a norm. Not because workers don't want fair says, but because securing that fair say is rife with barriers. It's one thing for a relatively small cluster of tenured Indigo employees, most of us with pre-existing relationships, to come together and organize their workplaces. It's quite another to expect the other sectors in retail, particularly fast food, where there isn't anything close to a union stronghold, to replicate our success, and nor should they have to. The current unionization framework should not be the only way for people to empower themselves at work. Whether it's a majority or a minority that comes together, a given group of workers should be able to bargain for their interests without fear of unjust retaliation. Protected collective action should be possible, even in non-unionized sectors. Sector-level bargaining would help raise the sea in which the boats of all workers in an industry float, and streamline a process that currently demands the same fight be fought over and over, even if many workplaces are already of the same mind. People don't want to be voiceless, but people are also afraid of losing their jobs, and no one should have to feel like they're making a choice between having a voice and losing their jobs. I don't particularly envy the task that this assembly has on its plate, but I would remind you that there are human beings at the end of every decision governments and employers make. And I hope that when you present your findings and recommendations, that you're choosing systems that don't leave human beings behind, that you choose accessibility, and that you start making the economic system that we all operate within empower everyone to have a voice and not embolden a system that empowers only a select few. I'm hoping that you choose fairness, that you've listened to me speak here and you've taken something away. It's my understanding that this assembly is made up of regular people, and I'm heartened that a regular person like myself was able to speak here. When you make your recommendations, I'm urging you to keep regular people in mind, that you look at solutions and you choose what's most accessible to and actionable for regular people, because we are all really just trying to get by. And I hope that you can make it possible to do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Greta. Those words are inspiring. It's so great to hear how your perspective well, the Unionized effort has made an impact on other young people as well. I think obviously a lot of your words are going to resonate with us. I think it's fair to say everyone is here in this assembly in part because we can't wait and hope for benevolence, as you so eloquently put it, that something more active has to be done. The surging interest in unions, I think, has been reflected in our conversations so far. But as you wisely said, the current vision in the system is not enough. And you may or may not know this, but a lot of the things that you're calling for, accountability, fairness, especially looking out for those who are not secure, identified as top values by members of our assembly. You have, I feel like you've given us all a little bit of goosebumps as we take off today. Thank you so much for sharing that perspective with us. And we do hope that you will review the report when it comes out and take an interest in it and help us amplify that voice. If you get a chance to look over in the comments in the Zoom chat, you're getting some great feedback from people who just really thank you for sharing that very real experience. Wonderful to have you.
A pleasure. Thank you for having me, guys, and best of luck today.